Welcome to my channel. My name is Adina. I'm an intuitive astrologer. Thank you so much for joining me. In this video, I want to talk about some of the energy that we're navigating January 2024 and even February 2024. I want to talk about the Sun-Pluto conjunction and some of this Pluto energy, and I have orbs flying around my head. So anyways, if you align with my energy and enjoy my content, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. And before we get into it, I just want to mention that I will be bringing back the Rising Sign horoscopes for each month starting in February with all planets direct. And I'm also thinking about switching and changing up the weekly forecast where I bring up a chart for each day. Let me know in the comments below if you prefer the audio or if you like to connect like this. I feel this pull and urge to connect more through the video version on camera. But I also like to use the audio when I'm using more my intuition because I find the camera can be a little bit distracting. But I also like to pull up the charts to give you guys a little bit of a visual. So let me know in the comments below what you prefer. I'm going to try a few things out. It's a new year. So I'll be trying a few things out to see, how everything works out. So I am going to pull up a chart for the Sun-Pluto conjunction, and I'm also going to pull up a chart for the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction that we had December 2020, because this year we have a lot more to that story coming up. A lot of what we were navigating collectively and individually December of 2020, there's going to be tension around that. There's going to be choices. There's going to be blocks, holds, stops. Jupiter's forming a square to Saturn 3 times this year. Once in forward motion, then retrograde, and then again, in the post shadow period. So there's a lot going on. This is a milestone. So when planets connect, this marks a brand new story. So there's a Jupiter Saturn story that we've been navigating since December 2020. Now we are at the first milestone of this story, which is going to be the square. And this is where tension can arise, and this is what we're going to be navigating this year. And I will be talking about this in my Jupiter in Gemini video that I will be creating, and I will be getting into all 12 rising signs. So watch for that. We still have a few months until Jupiter enters Gemini. But I did just want to mention, and I'll be talking about that a little bit when I pull up the chart. And the reason why I'm even bringing up the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction is because the Sun and Pluto were forming a conjunction at the same degree points. Now, I look at this, I find it interesting that Pluto is getting ready to enter Aquarius. Now, Pluto entered Aquarius between March and June of 2023. So we got a tiny little taste of what Pluto and Aquarius is going to feel like, but really barely nothing. Like we really we just scraped the surface of what this could be. But this year, Pluto's going to spend much more time in Aquarius, especially in February. February, all of the interpersonal planets are going to be forming a conjunction of Pluto in Aquarius. So we're really going to get a feel for what Pluto in Aquarius is going to bring us collectively and individually in February. And that's only a month away. So, excuse me, I wanted to talk a little bit about that because we're coming into the energy now. And Aquarius, oh my goodness, excuse me. So Pluto in Capricorn, Pluto's been in Capricorn for 15 years, and Capricorn rules governments, authority, corporations, and we can see the dismantling of those areas of our life and how Pluto has transformed and is still transforming those areas of life. Aquarius rules the collective, the people, society, how we connect to one another. So that is all going to be transformed over the next 20 years. I do have a Pluto and Aquarius video on my channel. You can check that out. I believe I go into all 12 rising signs on there. Gosh, I almost posted that a year ago, I think. It's been some time. Maybe I'll make an updated version. But Pluto isn't going to be in Aquarius for 20 years. So we're going to see a lot of changes in society and humanity. But what I really want to talk about today in this video is the fact that the sun is shining a light on Pluto. Now, we all know that Pluto can bring up fears. Pluto can reveal secrets. And because this is at the same degree point as the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, if we think back to what we were navigating back then collectively, and even think back in your own individual life, what were you moving through at that time? There can be revelations, there can be secrets gets revealed, there can be amazing transformation taking place. This is like a rebirth for Pluto. The sun is shining a light and renewing this Pluto energy before Pluto enters Aquarius. And they are going to form a conjunction at 0 degrees of Aquarius, but they come exact at 29 degrees, 59 minutes of Capricorn, like that last minute before Pluto enters, before we shift into Aquarius. So it's really interesting. And I look at this as a rebirth for Pluto, this refreshing of Pluto energy before Pluto enters Aquarius. So it's really interesting. But um, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Back in December of 2020, we were moving through a pandemic. We were moving through elections. Now, we are only in our second week of January, and we look at all of the stuff that's already come out. I mean, Epstein's lists and all of that stuff. There's a lot of secrets being revealed. There's a lot of information coming out that is going to be heightened the closer we get to the 20th of January and beyond. So 2024 is a weird year. 2024 is a year that we are going to remember similar to 2020. There's a lot of changes, and it starts as soon as we come into the year with that Sun Pluto conjunction. So keep your eyes and ears open. There's a lot of information coming out. We also have Mars and Capricorn. And this is another thing too, is that this is the last time that we will have Pluto and Capricorn with all this other energy, right? Like the new moon that we're having in Capricorn, January 11th is going to be our last new moon in Capricorn with Pluto. So I talked about that in my forecast. You can check that out where I get into all 12 rising signs. But even Mars being in Capricorn, and Mars is exalted in Capricorn, meaning that Mars is very powerful. Mars ruling our motivation, willpower, and drive. I mean, we have so much supportive energy right now to be building and creating and going after what we want. And we're not going to have this powerful Capricorn energy ever again in our life with Pluto. So we really want to be taking advantage right now in the next couple of weeks while we have, well, I guess, yeah, the next 2 weeks, while we have Pluto in Capricorn, these last degree points, to really dig in deep to what do you want to build? What do you want to create for the year of 2024 and beyond? What has been holding you back? And how has Pluto transformed this area of life? Pluto can bring up fears, and this can be difficult. This can be challenging, but this is so you can become your greatest version. You want to become the greatest version of yourself. And in order to do that, we have to go through that challenging energy. We have to go through those obstacles and difficulties in order to transform. And that's what Pluto does. And so where it can be challenging, it can be difficult, it is needed to become your greatest version. So there can definitely be a lot of insight coming in with this conjunction. So I'm going to pull up the chart so we can get into this energy. Okay, so here is the chart for the Sun Pluto conjunction at 29 degrees and 59 minutes. We even have this, trine to the moon in Gemini. So we're really going to see a lot of information at this time. There's going to be a lot coming out around the pandemic and everything associated with the pandemic. I'm not going to get into specific details, but there's going to be a lot of information coming out about that. And also too, elections. Like this year is going to be really big for elections. There's the US presidential election, right? At the end of the year. And so there's going to be a lot more around that showing up as well, and maybe even more information around what took place, in 2020. So here we have all of this Capricorn energy. We have Mercury stationed retrograde at 8 degrees of Capricorn. So Mercury is still in post shadow at this point with this conjunction, which is interesting because if you think back the last month or so, what were you reevaluating around this area of your life, around maybe what you want to build, what you want to create for 2024 and beyond? There can really be some powerful insight, information, and intuitive downloads, like those aha moments are our intuition, our higher self talking to us. That's when something is just clicking. So we want to be paying attention to that. We want to have that awareness. Now, Mars is exalted in Capricorn. So we have this very powerful Mars. And at this time of this conjunction, Mars is moving away from that this is after we had the trine to Jupiter, which is amazing. Which is actually like the week I'm recording this. So make sure you watch that weekly forecast because I talk a lot about that energy, which I'm going to post this shortly. So we want to be taking advantage of all of this powerful Capricorn energy, connecting to Jupiter, connecting to Saturn. I mean, it's just a lot of amazing supportive energy. Now, I want to bring up, hold on. I want to bring up this chart because Jupiter and Saturn formed a conjunction. Now they did form a conjunction at 29 degrees of Capricorn, but the exact conjunction was at 0 degrees of Aquarius and 29 minutes. And I want to tell you my whole view on this chart, what this means, and then some of the energy that is going to show up with the Jupiter square, but but it's really highlighted with this Sun Jupiter conjunction. So I hope this is making sense. But with this Jupiter Saturn conjunction in Aquarius, this is really marking the beginning of an amazing Jupiter Saturn story and how the collective is going to be transformed. So if we look at this, and I always look at a chart. So whenever we have a new moon chart, a full moon chart, whatever the chart is, when planets are conjunct, whatever the chart is, I look at this as an imprint on how energies are going to manifest. So for me, with this conjunction, at that same time, we had Neptune forming a T square to the nodes, which was the North Node and South Node. Now we're going back December 21st, 2020. So there was a lot of confusion about life direction. We didn't know what was going on. There was lockdowns. There was, everything was closing. We didn't know if we were going to communicate. But what we did know with this North Node in Gemini was that there was going to be changes to how we did communicate and changes to mindset. And the South Node in Sagittarius was going to be changes to belief systems, which is really what is heightened, I think, at the time of this Jupiter Saturn conjunction, where this really, and Jupiter rules Sagittarius. And so Jupiter is the ruler of this South Node conjunct Saturn. So it really shows that at this time, yes, there was restriction, there was challenge within the collective, within humanity and the people. But there was going to be a releasing and letting go of belief systems and how we connect to one another and what humanity is, what the collective is as a whole, if that makes sense. So this year, when we have the square, which is going to be when Jupiter enters Gemini, because now we have Saturn in Pisces, we're going to have Jupiter in Gemini. So there's the North Node in Gemini. And we have Jupiter in Gemini this year forming a square to Saturn. And this is a milestone to the energy that was started here, to the story that started to form at the time of this chart. So belief systems have changed, belief systems in how we connect to one another, belief systems around what humanity and the collective is as a whole. And how we communicate, right? And Jupiter in Gemini, which I'm going to be making a separate video on and probably talking more about this energy, is really going to change how we connect to one another, how we communicate, technology, and also information. There's going to be a lot of information, but it really, I mean, the fact that we had the North Node in Gemini at the time of the Saturn Jupiter conjunction, I mean, it really just shows that. And this is interesting because this shows like, yes, energies can be difficult and challenging, and we go through these hardships, but it's to get us to where we need to be. It's all a part of our life purpose and our purpose as a collective or, individually. And that was really marking, this time period was really showing us that yes, that path was going to be confusing. That path was not necessarily going to be clear. We didn't really know what was going to happen because we had Neptune T squaring the nodes, but we knew that but this chart shows that there was going to be changes in how we communicate to one another. There was going to be a releasing of certain belief systems. And I also want to um um oh my goodness, I also want to mention as well, Sagittarius rules like religion, belief systems around religion and philosophical views, and we see a lot of that changing as well. There was going to be a lot of releasing certain belief systems. So I find that really interesting with this chart. Now, at the same time, look, we had this Pluto Mars square. And at the end of 2024, we're going to have a Pluto Mars opposition with Pluto in Aquarius, Mars in Leo. Well, it's going to actually happen at Capricorn, Cancer, and then Aquarius and Leo, because at the end of this year, we have a Mars retrograde, which is going to be intense. I will talk about that the closer we get to those dates. But and this is around the US presidential election. So this is a busy year. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. But it's just interesting how the story plays out. And with this Sun Jupiter or Sun Pluto conjunction here, there is, secrets revealed. There's more information coming in. There's you know, if we just think like it's like the second week of January, and there's so much information that has come out around Epstein, the list. I have my own kind of beliefs and views on that. Even people that are on the list that are people we would have never thought. But yeah, so there's more of that, and that is going to become heightened the closer we get to January 20th. So I know that this was not just like a Sun Pluto conjunction story, but I wanted to bring this up because I thought this was interesting, and this is a story we'll be navigating for this year, which really, if we think back to this time period, and now this is collectively, but apply this to your own individual life. What was going on for you December of 2020? This year, there's going to be a milestone to that story, that, you know, kind of whatever was starting for you at that time. So I hope that that makes sense. Let me just take that chart off for a second. I hope this makes sense. Let me just check my list because I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted to cover. Jupiter ruling the South Node, belief systems, Neptune T square the nodes. I really wanted to mention that because I thought that was really interesting, especially considering, what we were in at that time, how things have played out. And then, this year we're having that first milestone, that first big milestone, which is the square. We had the sextile. Sorry, I just had to interrupt because I was editing this video and realized that I'm talking about the Jupiter Saturn square, but we're in the Jupiter Saturn sextile right now. And I completely forgot to mention that the sextile signifies opportunities. So where we have all this Capricorn energy and we have the Jupiter Saturn square or sextile literally right now, we're in it. This is where we want to create, we want to start to build to help get you through that Jupiter square to Saturn. So take advantage of the energy over the next 2 weeks because that is going to help get you through the Jupiter square to Saturn. Whatever you're doing now with the sextile, whatever opportunity you're taking advantage of, and whatever you're starting in this moment is going to get you through the challenging square energy. So, but the square is going to be big. We're really going to feel that, and that's really going to be significant. So I'll talk more about that the closer we get to those dates. And actually, for anybody that wants to know, those dates are because I have them right here because I've been working on my Jupiter and Gemini video. Um, so Jupiter is going to So actually, in August the 14th, 2024, we're going to have the Mars Jupiter conjunction in Gemini, and that's going to be squaring Saturn. So August is going to be huge. That's going to be big. I'll talk about that in the Jupiter and Gemini video. But then December of 2020, which is around the same time we're having the Mars Pluto opposition, December 23rd, 2024. Did I say 2020? December 2024, December 23rd, 2024, we will have Jupiter retrograde square Saturn. And so again, we'll have a couple of those squares the end of the year. And then Jupiter and Saturn are going to form another square with Jupiter in Cancer and Saturn in Aries. So that's going to be big as well. That will be into 2025. So this Jupiter square energy we're navigating for, about a year. We're kind of in this 9 months or so, I guess. Well, no, I guess it's a year. It starts in August and then into 2025. So yeah, I would say like half a year to 9 months. We're in this Jupiter square. This isn't just something that's going to take place and happen, one day or 1 month. It's kind of an ongoing energy. Now, I will be making a video. I think I've talked about this, going more into energies between 2025 and 2030 because there's a lot of significant energy shifts. I'm not sure if I will have that for purchase or not, probably because I'm doing a lot of research on that. Because yeah, it's going to be interesting. It'll probably be like a webinar or a video that you can purchase, which will be really long, and I'll go through. I like to pull the charts up and kind of go through, the months or the years or whatever. That's kind of like how I like to format my videos. But anyways, I hope that this, kind of helps you get an idea of the energy we're in, the energy we're going to be navigating, some of it around Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto for 2024. But again, we want to, watch in February what is showing up for you and what is showing up for us collectively, because that's when we're really going to get a feel for what this Pluto and Aquarius energy is going to bring. But around January 20th, we want to be paying attention to what is showing up in our own individual lives, because there can be, some amazing insight or something revealed that can help you on this journey, even the Saturn Jupiter journey. So thank you so much for joining me. And if you align with my energy and enjoy my content, don't forget to subscribe, like this video. And I love to hear your feedback. So comment below, let me know, if there's anything that you would like from me that I don't offer. Or, would you like me to change the weekly forecasts where I bring up a chart for each day, or do you like the audio? I'm also going to be starting my podcast where I talk about personal growth, relationship astrology, spirituality, spiritual relationships. I believe that whatever is challenging in our own lives and whatever we have to overcome in our own individual lives, we're supposed to pass that wisdom on to others. And so I have a lot of difficult energy in my birth chart that I've had to overcome, that I'm still working on because it's a never ending process and journey. And I want to help others overcome difficult energy within their birth chart. But I also want to help people connect through their birth charts, like in relationships, because you really are able to understand and know someone by their birth chart, how they communicate, how they process emotions, what they need on an emotional level, their love language. And I really want to help people connect to one another. And so I'll be making a lot of relationship astrology content as well. So again, I'm kind of ranting, but again, thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, I'll connect with you in the next one.